I'm Dr. Tony Wilson. I'm the Patrick E. Brookhauser Endowed Chair in Cognitive Neuroscience and the Director of the Institute for Human Neuroscience.
Wonderful.
So this is a 16,000 square foot facility devoted to human brain imaging and human cognitive neuroscience. So the type of work we're going to be doing here is studying how the brain enables people to process information, to see, to hear, to speak, things like that, and specifically to understand how what goes wrong in the brain when people can no longer have those functions. Currently, where the science is at is we're starting to have really good maps of what the brain structure changes. So it's important to understand the difference between to recognize the difference between brain structure and brain function. So over the last 20 years, we've made these really finely detailed maps of what changes structural-wise. So maybe the brain is growing, parts of the brain are getting larger or thicker. But exactly the functional consequences of that and how that relates back to things like language function, reasoning, emotional processing, we don't really know that yet. And that's really, I think, vital to being able to really use that information medically. Because just understanding the brain structure is a really incomplete picture, because the mapped onto that is a lot of different cognitive functions, a lot of different brain networks and brain circuits, a lot of different chemical changes within those regions, and to actually start to understand where psychiatric diseases emerge from and where neurological diseases, those are all symptom-based diagnoses, so based on a person's behavior. So a person's behaving a certain way because of the way their brain functions, so we have to start to understand the functional aspect of the brain. And then another along the same lines is what we call dynamics. Historically, we could study, the last 30 years, we can study brain function, but really we could only get like a static picture usually. So let's say a person is doing a language task. You end up with one picture at the end of the parts of the brain that are controlling language. Well, the average English speaker can say about 3 words a second. And so a lot is going on in those regions that we didn't really understand. And so like with MEG, we can actually make maps that are millisecond resolution. And so we can see like a word appear in the part of the brain that controls vision, and then that word move to a different brain region that controls phonology, and then another brain region that controls semantics, and start to map out the whole network as the person visualizes the word and then understands the word. And really that becomes just imperative to trying to understand language disorders, delays in language processing, things like that.